Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Game Arena Black Ops 6 launch tournament. My name is the Mattman, and obviously this is not Mr. Shibby Cast. We've got Colorblind in the booth, making his way down from Florida, competing in the cast-off yesterday. Figured we had to get him in the booth at least one time here, being in person. The duo's back, and it feels pretty good, I gotta be honest. We've got a spicy little losers matchup on the cards today between the Speedy White Man and Luxury Exotic, who, you know, I'm a big fan of their branding, as they would say. Heading into this one, though, loser goes home. Winner moves on here. We talked about it a little bit before. This kind of Speedy White Man's match to lose.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team where you have Conway, you have Chaco, you have Rep, you have Sparks. All of these guys are very, very well known for what they have done within the scene to this point. And kind of getting together on paper heading into this weekend, it felt like a little bit of a God squad. So to see them in the losers bracket, it's a little bit unexpected. But seeing them move forward in this, it would definitely solidify the fact that these guys are on a run.
No, absolutely. And I think the only reason that they're in the losers bracket right now is kind of the reason that we were all expecting, is if they had to play Arcities and Co. in that winners finals or in that winners semis finals, it's kind of how it worked out for them. They end up losing that down 3-1. And you can see Team Acrylic, that's just been the team, right? It's been the team that everybody's been keeping an eye on. When you've got Arcities, Dimensions, Neum, everybody like that pulling up to a LAN, you've got a lot of eyes on you, right? And as you should. But look, this Thrive team, speaking of that matchup that we're going to see later, a lot of young guns in here. Obviously, you heard Dello in here earlier kind of talking his stuff, making sure everybody knows that they think that they're the only team that can really put up a fight against Team Acrylic. So that's a marquee matchup we'll have to look towards for later. But for now, we kind of look towards this losers bracket, right? Obviously, Hollow HQ getting sent home a little bit early there, and now looking down into that bottom one. Luxury Exotics this morning able to take out Old Family and sets us up against the speediest of the white men.
Yeah, and we've seen these guys compete. We have seen these guys under a whole host of different teams as well. And one of the interesting aspects of it is you have Marco on the other side of the coin, who has notably been a player for the Speedy White Men throughout a lot of the Premier Circuit stuff. Yep. So you see him come in and going up against one of the orgs that he has played under with some new branding and some branding that we are very fond of. Let's not stall. Let's jump on into the map set here, kicking things off with some protocol very fast, getting those hands warm, ready to go before we hit things over to Vorkuta. Red card, hardpoint being thrown into the mix as well, which is sure to be an interesting one. But before we load things out with Vorkuta and Rewind, to talk to me, Matt, with this map set, what do you see?
I mean, obviously, it's kind of what we've been talking about all day with kind of how the flow has been, these double hard points between 3 and 4. I mean, if you are not a hard point-based team, if S&D is kind of the name of your game, you kind of rely on that control to get you back into games. This is just not kind of the series and the map sets that you kind of want to see this weekend, especially with how we're doing things. Losers quarterfinals here, Luxury Exotics, you're going to have to be going up against the best of the best in the AM scene as far as gunny skill goes, and in those hard points, it's going to be very tough. I think if Luxury Exotic is not able to get one of those first map 1 or map 3 hard points, map 4 is not going to be looking to go their way. But hey, protocol map 1, this is a map that you can really kind of make a statement here coming out if you're Luxury Exotic.
Yeah, I mean, this is about as fast as it gets on the hard point side of things. So the Speedy White Men, like on paper in the namesake, they definitely live up to a map like this to kick things off. For Luxury Exotics, they're going to have to hope that, hey, you know, maybe the weed acts as a little bit of a buff for them. They get locked in, they get moving and grooving on this map. But let's not stall, folks. We're about ready to bounce on into our losers quarters finals matchup. See which of these teams will be sent packing, which of these teams has the opportunity to continue to compete here live in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen this protocol map a couple times throughout this weekend. It plays a little bit fast, but sometimes those long-range engagements over the kind of corner sides of the map can be big for your AR players, but I'm going to be looking big towards the mid areas of the map, both of those mid buildings around this first P1. Who can really take that mid control heading into this map? Obviously, is going to be really of utmost importance. I think, you know, kind of all of the maps that we've been given so far throughout this is definitely one of at least the better ones as for hardpoint. I know a lot of people were kind of upset about Lowtown getting taken out. I know some people were hoping that we could put in Nuketown this weekend even to play a couple maps. Well, it's be interesting to see how it plays, especially between both of these teams. I know for Luxury Exotic, they've been having a really good losers bracket run. They've been in the losers bracket since early on yesterday. They've been working their way through it just time and time again, showing up specifically in the hard points. But how will they fare against the Speedy White Men? As we were getting a nice little map flyover, getting to see the scenes here of Protocol. Beautiful little rainy map here today.
Ooh, it's a nice day on Protocol. If you like the the rain. If you don't like the rain, well, stay inside, folks. Speedy White Men and Luxury Exotic about to get wet on this map and get things going. Pause. Anyway, we move on into our first map here. And you talk about this map being one of those where you talk about the rotations, you talk about how important they are. You also talk a little bit about the dimension that this game truly does have and this map truly has. With it being a triple layer map and you have those buildings that add the top layer, you have the middle portion of the map, obviously, and then you have that lower deck area where you can run some really nice routes. You can kind of see maybe your SMGs start to fly, looking towards a player like Marco to really get things going on that side of things for the side of Luxury Exotic. But there's a lot of different ways that you can play this, especially with it being such a close quarters map.
No, absolutely. And that's why I kind of wanted to see what subs are going to get active early between both of these teams. Obviously, we know the sub presence from both of these teams is of absolute high quality caliber. But I mean, heading into a map like this and heading into what I think is really going to be the make or break moment for this Speedy White Men team, right? Obviously, a tough loss against RCs and Co, but you're coming up against a Luxury Exotica team that has been in the losers bracket, right? They have been in here for quite some time. They are used to playing with that elimination looming in the back of their minds. Speedy White Men, obviously, you come out first map of Championship Sunday and you have to play our cities in Columbus, Ohio. It's not necessarily how you wanted to open things up, but you know, I was talking to Season, I'm talking to some of the guys, and you know, they're kind of giving us a little bit of insight that it might be better for their team, right? You kind of go and get that really, really tough game out of the way early, first game.
The wake-up call.
Exactly. Get that under your belt, and then you know that's going to be the hardest team that most likely you're going to play all day long. So now you can kind of get that losers bracket run started. You can start to get some of your map pools really solidified, trying to get back to that grand final spot. And we're getting a nice little, you know, kind of look over. So if you haven't got to look at Protocol, I hope you're taking a look now because we've gotten a nice little few minutes to look over it. We've got some of these players still getting into action. You know what? I'm going to put you right on the spot. Obviously, you know, we had you in the booth once yesterday, having you back in the booth today.
Yes, sir.
Who are you going with right now? You got the Speedy White Men, or do you have the Luxury Exotic best branding here at the LAN?
I mean, the branding has to be typical on both sides of the coin. But when you look at these two teams, I mean, you're looking at two teams that are in very different situations, right? You have Luxury Exotic coming in. They're already kind of accustomed to this lower bracket run. They have that chip on their shoulder, and they have really leveraged that to this point. With Speedy White Men, they're kind of being welcomed down here. They have the opportunity to really cement themselves, and you talked about it. You get punched in the face early to start your day. Not the start that you want on Championship Sunday, but this is a team where we've been looking at them through and through, and we've been saying, hey, this team, if there's really anyone in this venue that can take out our cities and Co, it could very well be the Speedy White Men. So I don't know, man. I feel like it's one of those instances where Speedy White Men is either going to establish himself or the precedence is going to kick in. I kind of want to see the Speedy White Men establish themselves a little bit. I'm thinking Speedy White Men going to come out on top.
The Speedy White Men. You heard the prediction out of Mr. Colorblind, but Luxury Exotic seemingly wanted to have something different to say about that as we finally get this map number 1 kicked off, and you already see players starting to run under, run up top. Those top angles already being worked on. Rep, early shots in, not going to be able to find anything of importance. Luxury Exotic going to be doing the dirty work here. A couple of kills early for Respi.
Oh, Speedy White Men just getting completely cut down every step of the way. You do have the route from behind coming through with Conwa trying to establish into the spawns of Luxury Exotics, trying to set themselves up for success in terms of the map control as well.
Driz, shot's going to take out Sparks, but Kamla immediately over the top side will be able to find the trade. A little bit of a mixy P1, nothing that we haven't come to expect, especially between two teams that like to play with this speed.
Yeah, for the side of Luxury Exotics, it's all about the speed, and you have to be speedier than the Speedy White Men. That's exactly why you have Wisers floating over towards that P2 side, already trying to gain that control, not necessarily selling your soul, as I would say, for P1. But things looking real good here for Luxury Exotics. They have the potential setup. Speedy White Men, what have you got?
Speedy White Men and hopping with Rep, already working his way, like you said, through the spawns. First one out onto Driz will be clean. Now working his way again, and he might have to find two there, as it will be the Speedy White Men that will clean house, and Conwa lights it up as it's 4 dead in the feed, and the Speedy White Men start to get up to speed.
And Conwa just starting to rip heads as well. You do not want to let this man start frying. You don't want to let the Speedy White Men start talking either. You know Rep is going to get loud for them. Sparks with 2 to continue to add insult to injury. But Luxury Exotics is going to start to swing back ever so slightly until Sparks just shuts it down at the seams.
Yeah, this is just a mixy hill back and forth. Obviously, you can see it in the kill feed. Just trade galores going on right now with the Speedy White Men coming out on top of these trade battles ever so slightly. Wisers will try to get in, but it'll be no more than one. So with 16 seconds of scrap left here, the Speedy White Men have done enough to at least get themselves the early advantage lead and have enough time to put in the back pocket heading over to New. But you look towards that New hill, and it is Luxury Exotic that has set up shop and is ready to potentially sell some of that branding.
Yeah, good spawns over here, looking to smoke them a little bit. Speedy White Men, they're going to have to go. They're going to have to go fast. A couple of kills will matriculate their way through the feed, but it ultimately checkers boards out in the way of Luxury Exotic, as they will have some time on the board.
Yeah, I mean, early on in this hill, Speedy White Men, they're trying to push a little bit of pressure on in, but Luxury Exotic doing good, holding those corner angles over towards the backside. And it will be the job of a rep to kind of hold down this left, try to work with his team to get into this hill. Stuns, nades, and everything being thrown at the moment.
Yeah, everything being thrown at the wall, just trying to see if something will stick to give the Speedy White Men an opportunity to cut their way on in, but Driz says no, sends them down for two. Sparks, the last player standing in the back lines, trying to be the one-man band. Needs a little bit of a symphony to work, though, as Luxury Exotic continues to get the time on the board.
Yeah, and now the lead change in their favor as well. With only 20 seconds left on this hill, Speedy White Men, I mean, obviously with these quick rotations on over, you don't really have to sell your soul of if those rotates, but I mean, Speedy White Men, they get in for that scrap time, but that's the first real good hill we've seen out of Luxury Exotic. You talk about your quick rotations, just a quick 20-foot drop right down to the floor, and you're into the New hill.
Into the back cave we go. Luxury Exotics with the early rotation. Once again, we talk about how important the rotations are. Can they get the kills to justify? It's initially going to be the Speedy White Men coming through, but Driz with two could very well solidify. Driz around the corner, he slides. Get the third as well. Luxury Exotics solidify for the time.
And Rispy 12-4 on that 7 streak, just completely opens the hill by himself. And you can see Luxury Exotic, they have worked their way into these corners. They have nestled themselves into these hidey holes. And Sparks from the front, as well as the Speedy White Men, are now going to have a difficult time finding this break. You can kind of see a little bit staggered right now on the minimap. Not really sure how they want to attack this just yet, as well with Driz playing this Overwatch.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do to attack this. Driz has just been so key for this team. Now Rep, though, trying to take it straight through on in. Not going to have a whole lot in terms of the support, though, to really solidify, and just gets chopped at the seams once again. So Luxury Exotic solidifying for some key time on the board, and it does come down to those rotations, Matt.
Yeah, and really for me, though, it's Luxury Exotic that have kind of chained these last two hills together. They've started to put a little something together. You see Driz, but really Recipe right now on the 10 spree, 15-4, and it looks like he's going to immediately launch that Hellstorm on in, and he's looking, as well as Luxury Exotic, to push the issue here.
Yeah, not going to have to do a whole lot, though, with his team just kind of doing the rest. Rispy just continuing to fry. Sparks in the backline will finally shut him down short of the sprees, but just immediately the follow-up from Marco is huge. Luxury Exotics clicking on every cylinder through these first sets of hills.
And I'm talking about it, man. Coming through the losers bracket, this bracket run that Luxury Exotic has been on has been absolutely gross. They have not faltered since dropping down here, and they are not afraid to go gunny against gunny with the Speedy White Men.
Look at the way Luxury Exotics is just spreading towards the top side of the map. They are getting every single angle that you possibly could ask for locked down for the Speedy White Men. I mean, they are looking slow on this map. Luxury Exotics again over towards the P2 side, looking to solidify with a couple of key kills with the rotation, but unfortunately, Driz will be caught out, and now the Speedy White Men might find an opportunity to get some time on the board themselves.
Yeah, a little bit late to the rotation, but quick rotos on over. Speedy White Men don't have to necessarily get there as quickly as they did before with these other hills. Luxury Exotic now tasked with the break, as Speedy White Men have nestled themselves here now into P2. Trophy Systems working overtime right now as the nades and stuns are in.
Yeah, Sparks is going to have to do a whole lot. He has to play this so very perfect, especially as all of his teammates get completely downed on the hill. White hill time comes through, and Driz cuts another down to get some time on the board once again. Still the Speedy White Men trying to press the issue. A couple of kills will enter the feed, so they are able to hit the regain. Could potentially even take the lead here.
Yeah, and this is a big regain hill for them. Almost a full 60 so far off of this hill. Speedy White Men, and you can see it as well on the rotations already heading towards New. Big fight between Driz and Kamwa. Kamwa elects to back on out of it, but for the moment, Luxury Exotics, they have this little bit of a lead, but things are starting to slip ever so slightly. Speedy White Men just crawling back into this game.
This P3 setup, though, it could be very key for Luxury Exotics if they can deal with Conway, who's found themselves into his backlines. Putting on the Halo Invisibility Cloak, what can Conway will find the turn and burn. It's not going to be enough as Luxury Exotics will find two. Sparks, though, with the immediate refrag to go, trying to get some time up on the board, and he's the lone player in for the hill, but you're seeing all those yellow arrows converging in.
Yeah, as well, though, Speedy White Men, they have these close spawns right out back. Driz will go to try to play the cutoffs from back as Marco and Crispy able to combine for two, and now the trades start to come through for the Speedy White Men. But pressure all around for Luxury Exotic as now they find themselves on the hill for the moment. You take out Kamwa, and right now, Rispy 25-7.
Absolutely generational run out of the boy here to kick things off. You know he's been getting some of that product in. If there's anything to be said about this gameplay, Luxury Exotics still maintaining the hold, but hold on, Speedy White Men are only just 10 points behind.
Yeah, but with not a lot of time here off of this old hill, and as well with the quick drop-down rotation, Speedy White Men, they're looking to hit on in, get that elevator control. Rispy taken off of New, so this is the good for the Speedy White Men, at least here on this hill. You're locked in, ready to go, but quick reinforcements from Luxury.
Luxury Exotics, can they make the break? That's going to add insult to injury, though, with the rotation. Conwa just completely dunks it straight on over. Now Driz trying to ignite his way on into the hill, gets a little bit of help from Rispy, who again just continues to be the thorn in the backside for the Speedy White Men.
29-9 right now from Luxury Exotic and Rispy. They have started to work their way into this hill and have started to just kind of run away with the lead right now. 20 seconds and garnering, but you gotta watch the drop down. Kamwa for one, Kamwa for two, and Speedy White Men as well. Cleaning up Marco Stallion, the last one on the hill, but a lot left to go! Marco going absolutely insane! 1, 2, 3, 4, and he lights it up, closes the door on the Speedy White Men.
There's just nothing that you can do but chalk it and go next if you are the Speedy White Men. That is a solidifying mental play to break things down. Marco doing everything and then some for Luxury Exotic as they're creeping their way towards that 200-point barrier.
But Kamwa from the top side able to find two big kills here as they lock in for this P1. Speedy White Men working their way around Luxury Exotic. Now with the spawn outs, they're going to have to play this a little bit slower. They can afford to let Speedy White Men get a little bit of time here with this lead. 47 seconds left to work with on this hill. You've got to find these first initial fights, and they are not going your way.
Slow and steady might not be the play when you're playing up against the Speedy White Men. 2 kills matriculate their way in the feed, and now they have those good spawns as well. Lots of nades, lots of big explosions coming in, but unfortunately, it's just going to go the way of the Speedy White Men as Driz gets the team kill to go. We'll be able to respond for 2, so hold on, wait a minute. The push still very much in.
190, 180. Speedy White Men only down 10 seconds here, but Luxury Exotic has the hold on the hill with a little bit of chunk time left to work with, but they cannot get a solidified hold right now. Speedy White Men have done a very, very good job here on this P1. Starting to look over towards P2 now and where Speedy White Men are trying to hit this rotation.
Oh, but Luxury, they are so far up ahead. They have the stronghold. You see every single arrow has so much control on this map. As P2 comes online, they will be the first team to touch, moving on in over towards that side of the map, getting all the kills, and even extending into the spawns to just continue to press the issue.
And Luxury Exotic, they have just enough time to win it here off of this hill if it's a perfect one from them. Speedy White Men, the issue is now on. You have got to get now into this P2 as now Luxury Exotic starting to just run away with it. Kills coming in every single facet right now, and you can see 220 and counting.
And Weiser's doing his best impression of Obi-Wan Kenobi, just continues to shut down the routes for the Speedy White Men. They cannot go in through main, they cannot go in through the top, they can't go in through the bottom. Luxury Exotics looking to run away with this.
230. But now, Speedy White Men on the hill for the moment, causing the contestant, and now, but still just enough time for Luxury Exotic. You gotta have one more final contestant to stop this 250 from coming through. Speedy White Men doing everything that they can, going even out of the combat zone, trying to find it. 238 though, and still, it's Luxury Exotic running away with this map.
Speedy White Men, they're going to have the rotation over towards that side of the map, but now it just comes down to a single break. So much can happen. You have to lock this thing down and get the kills to justify. Picture perfect play has to be the name of the game.
They have the rotations though, they have the outback spawns, but can Luxury Exotic find the break? Weiser's up through the spiral staircase looking for him as the rest of the reinforcements start to converge on the hill, but Sparks and Will take a couple of trades off screen, and it'll still allow for the Speedy White Men as they have crept over that 200-point threshold to continue to hold on to this hill. Rep just trying to hold down these back lanes, but for the moment, Speedy White Men have the control that they need.
Speedy White Men trying to play slow, trying to maintain the hold, trying to hide and stay away from being gunned out 2v2 as it gets kills going either which way. Luxury Exotics trying to get in for the time. Weiser's the one-man band, gets 2 to go, but Sparks will shut it down and maintain for the Speedy White Men.
Yeah, but you gotta look right out back. It's only 4 seconds needed. Luxury Exotic can kind of forward hit this last hill if they so choose. Also have Marco in tow, rotating over towards New. Speedy White Man, you're gonna get the scrap time, but you're gonna have to find the break here now into the back cave, and Kamwa dropping from the top side, able to find one, but no more than that. Marco now has to play it by himself.
Now for the rotation here, Rispy is holding things down. Can Marco get to the things to go? It's going to be the Luxury Exotic players on for the time. The nade might just be able to solidify. Conwa, the last player on in, has to go big. Not going to be able to, though, and Luxury Exotics will close in a contested hardpoint.
Back and forth, an absolute slobber knocker, as some would say, 250 to 231. Weiser's Marco lighting up the kill feed, but it was Rispy that was the MVP of this Luxury Exotic squad. I believe almost dropping 40, if not putting up the 40 bomb. Weiser's with the 23 and 14, not anything to bat your eyes at, but Rispy, 38 and 19, 29 non-traded kills in their campaign for that map 1 win.
And a highest streak of 12. I mean, this man was playing TDM at one point. It was so very hard to get through any of the gunplay that Luxury Exotic comes out here. And we talked about it heading into this series, right? We were giving the edge in terms of the gunplay to the Speedy White Men. They come out a little bit slow in that regard. You see players like Rispy start to get active. You see Marco just completely locking things down. And Luxury Exotics comes out in a way that we maybe didn't expect with that win.
No, I think especially not on the hardpoint side, but we knew that both of these teams like to play fast. They like to play very, very aggressive, and they are never afraid of a chow. And I think you could kind of see that on that protocol map so many times that people just kind of willing, shaking hands to take that one-on-one engagement. And a lot of times, Luxury Exotics coming out on top of it, and a lot more times than not, Rispy coming out on top of them.
Yeah, and again, we talk about like those defining plays, right? The true separators, because obviously you can win your ones. Obviously you can set yourself up for success with 2v1s. But we have players like Marco that pulled off a human highlight reel moment to lock things down and really secure the latter half of that map in terms of the momentum, in terms of that pendulum from going the way of the Speedy White Men. And really, again, it is those pop-off moments from Luxury Exotics that separates them even on top of those really, really well-played engagements.
I just think for Luxury Exotic, the name of the game there was, hey, let's get people weak and let's let Rispy shoot them and do the rest, right? I mean, the guy's 28 non-traded kills, I mean, doing everything that he needed for his team right there. And for me, in that, the Speedy White Men, a little bit of a slow start to it, as you pointed out, a little bit sluggish maybe coming off that loss to Acrylic. But Luxury Exotic, it's how you kind of got to play when you're coming up against a team that's running through the losers bracket like they have been. I mean, they are hot. They are on a streak right now, and they feel good on the maps. And obviously, coming out here, taking that first map off the Speedy White Men is huge for themselves coming into the rest of the series. Heading into S&D, though, things, you know, they kind of switch up a little bit, because I think coming into this one, we definitely thought Speedy White Men having a little bit more of the advantage in the hardpoint game mode. Speedy White Men obviously taking that S&D off of Acrylic, so we'll have to see what the S&D is looking like coming into Vorkuta.
Yeah, and for Luxury, I mean, you go into this map, right? And again, you've just kind of pulled an upset in the first map. We talk about that momentum that they gained being in the losers bracket for as long as they have been. It just feels like that momentum has been a defining factor for this team in hitting the mental regain and saying, hey, you know what? We might be down, but we are not out. And having that dog mentality to really hit the regain and redefine yourself as a team coming off of a tough loss that sent you into the lower bracket. For the Speedy White Men, they haven't really had that defining moment quite yet. Obviously, they get knocked down by Acrylic, but what do you look like after you got punched in the face? You lose out on a hard point that you probably should have won.
Yeah, it all leads into this S&D. That Luxury Exotic is going to be very, very happy to play right now. And you can already see the early map control here being gained by Rispy as he works his way up through the mid-angle. And he might be able to find the drop on a couple of these players.
This is such a good play out of Rispy. This is such a good play out of Rispy. That's the bomb carrier being taken out of the equation. Huge kill to open things up for Luxury Exotics, and he just slithers his way on out. But unfortunately, Conwa, the true snake in the backlines, will be able to refrag to go 3v3 now.
Yeah, but dropping the bomb carrier that early in the round, you look up at the clock, already 50 seconds left here for the side of the Speedy White Men. You've been kind of waiting around in your spawn, haven't really made a definitive hit towards either one of these sites, and it's kind of allowed these Luxury Exotic players to get into a lot of very good power positions.
Marco trying to set up over towards that B side, and you mentioned it, Speedy White Men just looking very indecisive. 35 seconds left to make a decision, and just trying to gain as much middle control as possible might be the name, might be the game, but you just have every single angle being locked down by these ARs from Luxury Exotics.
Yeah, there's the first run from Marco onto Kamwa. That'll open the Bloods up with the 22 seconds left. You have got to get a move on if you are the Speedy White Men. You have got to get this bomb to a site, and right now, you can't even find a Chow. 14 seconds left. You finally take out one there, but Luxury Exotic in the 2v2 can just play the time. Marco, you will be taken out. Now Rep, all of a sudden you find 2 big kills, and Weiser's knows he's just got to play his life, run away, no time to get that bomb planted, and that should be the round for Luxury Exotic.
Hide and seek wins championships there, and Weiser's knows better. Luxury Exotics with the first round, first draw on the board. And now, I mean, for the Speedy White Men, just uncharacteristically, again, we talk about this team embodying the name and being such a fast tempo team, and you blow about like half of the round just sitting in your own spawn. It's not necessarily what we come to expect out of these guys.
Yeah, I think from the Speedy White Men, you're looking at that maps against RCDs and Co this morning, and it's what you talked about. We are looking for this team to have that defining bounce back moment. Can it be right here? It could possibly be if Chaco is shooting like that.
Chaco with 2 kills to open things up for the Speedy White Men. Now, if you're Luxury Exotics, you're kind of put in the interesting spot where you don't really have a whole lot of credence. Last player standing, it's going to be Marco, but unfortunately for him, there's not a whole lot he can do in a spot like that, as the Speedy White Men will respond in kind. So we have a defensive slugfest early.
Yeah, and it's kind of what a lot of the S&D maps kind of looked like this year. It kind of reminds me of Invasion, right? If you don't make that first definitive hit as the offensive team, you can just kind of get stuck back in your spawn. You start running into irons. You allow the defense to get entirely too much map control. And it's what you see there. These defenses are being very aggressive. They're getting to their spots, those headies, those power positions very early on in the round. And for the Speedy White Men right there, kind of taking a page out of the Luxury Exotic playbook.
Yeah, and especially on a map like Vorkuta, where you just kind of run the game based around your ARs, you can get those heady spots, and you can just completely shut down every single lane for the attacking team. Now the Speedy White Men back on the attacking side, and it just continues to be death by death.
Big kills. The side of Luxury Exotic now. Rep and Chaco all alone in the 2v4. Nades and stuns over the top, trying to find a little bit of damage, and he will, but that won't be good enough to find a kill. So Speedy White Men still stuck between a rock and about 4 ARs aiming right down their irons, and you're only finding hit markers right now.
Yeah, they know exactly where the Speedy White Men are, just kind of playing with their food, using that Omni movement to advantage. Rep now trying to just send shots in, no tags to be found. Rispy bobbing and weaving like he's Mike Tyson in the ring, waiting for the chow to come through. And at this point, if you are the Speedy White Men, again, you have 37 seconds left on the clock. You don't even have the bomb anymore as well. It is just disaster. But Chaco looking to come out of the disaster alive. 29 seconds to do so.
This is going to be a hero ball play and a half, but Luxury Exotics will cut that down in its prime and take a 2-1 lead here in this S&D. And just playing it smart, right? Keeping on their fundamentals, doing everything that they need to do right, not over-challenging in possessions. And right now, the Speedy White Men, I mean, this is getting dangerously on the verge. If this S&D keeps going like it's been, just defensive round after defensive round, you get to a round 11, and it's the difference between a 1-1 series tie and a 2-0 series deficit. It could be detrimental.
Yeah, again, they have to hit the mental regain. They have to find a way on a map like this that is so AR present to maybe get in the back lines. It's a very tall task up ahead, especially when the Speedy White Men and just the team on defense in general are just able to set things up for success so easily.
1:15 early on here in this round. Speedy White Men trying to work their way on, but Rispy, he'll be the sneaky snake and takes out the bomb planter. Chaco sent to the grave, and now Sparks to follow. Luxury Exotic potentially with an offensive round win.
How the turns can quickly table here. You're just seeing the defining factors from Luxury Exotic be that gunplay, and now Weiser's has all the information he needs, feeds it to his teammate, and locks things down for Rep. Last player standing, 1v4. Such a tall task ahead. It's looking like the first attacker side round will go the way of Luxury Exotics, and I mean, we talked about the importance of that when a map like this is being played, such a defensive slugfest. And to draw first blood on the attacker side, be up 1-0 in the series, they are looking so good, Matt.
Yeah, and not only that, when you find that first round on the offensive side, they take a 3-1 lead here, now heading back onto defense. And this has all the makings of Speedy White Men being down down 4-1 early on in this map number 2. And it's what I just talked about earlier. I mean, they are on the verge of a very dire situation. They've got to wake up, and they've got to wake up now.
Yeah, I mean, how the mighty can truly fall. Obviously, don't want to definitively say anything quite yet, but the way things are looking right now, everything in terms of the pendulum completely over towards the side of Luxury Exotics. And I mean, hey, it might just be the weed buff, bro.
Hey, that weed buff goes hard.
It goes cataclysmically hard.
If any of you guys are participating in Ohio's great state laws, Luxury Exotics sure looks like they are, because they are blazing the Speedy White Men off the map right now.
Heyo!
Already up 3-1. Now back on that defensive side. But Speedy White Men, they've made a quick play here over towards this outside bomb site. They're potentially looking to get a quick hit on it.
I feel like the defining factor here for Speedy White Men, though, is the fact that you have to find your way into the backlines of Luxury Exotic, because, again, those headies are just so unbelievably difficult to contest. Wisers will be the first line of defense, gets that information to go, and now you start to see those green arrows flush over, as do the yellow arrows. Both teams looking for an opportunity here, and Rap sneaking like a snake.
But Wisers as well. And if he's able to get the drop on one of these bomb planters, it could be huge. And Driz and Marco able to find a couple of kills there. And now all of a sudden, everything the Speedy White Men had built has just come crumbling down. And all of a sudden, Luxury Exotics now with the two-man advantage. And only 30 seconds left in the round to find a bomb plant here for the Speedy White Men.
And not only that, they don't have the bomb in hand for the Speedy White Men. I mean, it is a tall, tall task up ahead. But luckily for them, it's the duo, Conwa and Choco. We have seen these players make magic happen, but unfortunately, Conwa will fall. It just comes down to Choco in the 1v2. And for Luxury Exotics, I mean, you can just play the time here. You have that bomb down. 13 seconds. Time is ticking away, as are your hopes and dreams within this round. And you might just have to say sayonara if you are the Speedy White Men. Luxury Exotics going ham.
And I mean, this isn't even close. I mean, 4-1 right now. They have been dominating. They have been dominating. I mean, from the first map, Hardpoint, obviously it was close. It was back and forth. It was contested. I mean, this has not even been a competition right now. I mean, Luxury Exotics are absolutely smoking these guys right now. And the Speedy White Men, I mean, we know it was a tough one on that first series, but heading into this, you had to look for them to bounce back, particularly in this map, and just not seeing what we're used to seeing out of the boys in green.
I mean, we're in an interesting point in the season where it's a brand new season, right? We're not used to playing these maps. We don't have the sub routes to really open things up, especially on a map like Vorkuta, where you do have to find your way into the backlines. So it's those teams that are starting to figure things out a little bit quicker, potentially, in terms of the tactics that can really set themselves up for success. We talked about the early rotations back on the Hardpoint even, where Luxury Exotics really just had the mental gameplay going their way. For the Speedy White Men, I mean, they're kind of left stun-checked here.
1 minute left on the clock. Luxury Exotics has played this one a little bit slow, but now have started to send all 4 players almost towards this outside. Conwa, he's just peeking, looking for anything here, just looking for an inch, anything to gain. But Conwa, he'll still play that top gear heady, and everyone from Speedy White Men seemingly a little bit stuttered out right now.
Oh, it might swing their way, though, as Conwa and Choco are able to find the opening kills. Being said, it will immediately be refragged back the other way. Bomb still has to be recollected, and unfortunately for them, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do, and this very well could be round 4, the Speedy White Men, with things being set up.
1v4, no v4, as the Speedy White Men will clean up house and finally get themselves back on the board. You stop the bleeding there a little bit. You stop things in their tracks. But the thing that I'm a little worried about for them is it's still 0 offensive round wins for the squad.
Yeah, and again, you need that defining offensive round. And mathematically speaking, you need a couple of them at this point. So still, even though we love to tip our hats to that round going the way of the Speedy White Men, it's what we kind of expect on the defense. And when you fall short on the defense, you're kind of being looked at and you're like, well, what are you doing? Well, you're lost.
Speedy White Men now with the bomb in hand and a tall task at hand as well. You got to find an offensive round win right here. You cannot allow this to go to a 5-2 scoreline with the way that Luxury Exotics has been playing so far.
Look at Conwa. Look at Conwa just sending it straight down mid. Does not care. Might have had to show a little bit more care, though, as unfortunately for him, he does get refragged immediately right on after. So now for Luxury Exotics, it's a 3v3. They're set up with those headies once again. For Speedy White Men, you just see the hesitation even in the arrows on the minimap.
Just under a minute left to get that bomb planted as well. And as you said, Luxury Exotic, they're trying to work their way up. You've got a couple players starting to play the little bit of the rap game right here. It does look like Speedy White Men are flirting with the idea of the rotation as well. Bomb looking to be hitting right onto that site.
Look at number 8 on the minimap. That's Rispy. He's going on the route. He's going on the route. Slamming from behind, looking for the second. Chaco is able to avoid disaster, but still, disaster might be looming as the Speedy White men don't have a whole lot going their way. The pins are potentially developing here as well, as Luxury Exotics can just hammer them down the second they get the slightest bit of information. The Speedy White men, they have to play this so very carefully, but the 1v2 comes through, and hold on, wait a minute.
Marco playing Marco Polo in the perfect position now. He knows that the bomb has to get planted all of a sudden. All on Chaco. He's got to get it down. Bomb plant going down. Can Marco get the left foot, right foot express on it? The bomb, he's got to get there in time. Shooting at toes right now. You can't lose this gunfight, and he won't. Marco sends Chaco to the grave, and now finds the defuse to follow, and Luxury Exotic will take a 5-2 lead here in this map number 2.
Just the Stallion doing Stallion-type things. Luxury Exotics looking real luxurious on Vorkuta here, and I mean, this team, just every single thing that could go their way to this point truly has. For the Speedy White men, I mean, a tall, tall task up ahead. They still, to this point, have not taken a single offensive round. Hey, moving on to the defense. Defense does not win championships here, sources are saying.
I mean, you're just going to have to find rounds at this point. It doesn't matter if they're offense, if they're defense, if they're neutral rounds. You've got to start winning rounds right now, okay? It is 5-2. If there's ever a time to get the foot on the gas pedal, start to pull off the comeback, it is now. You're on the favorable side, so you can at least potentially get yourself started off on the right foot. But Luxury Exotic starting to work their way around. They are so confident right now. I believe they have left the bomb in their spawn.
I was just about to say, what are we doing? I mean, you have the right to be this confident, but still, I mean, at least at this point, playing with their prey, Luxury Exotics are. Still, though, Speedy White men, they have those heady setups, so realistically speaking, setting themselves up for success within this defensive round. But again, Matt, we keep on talking about it. It's such a long path to even get a single offensive round, let alone get back into the mix of this. I mean, Luxury Exotics might just know that this one is just about over.
And I mean, Luxury Exotics, I mean, right now, it doesn't even look like they're playing for a bomb plant. I mean, there's 35 seconds left. They have not even gone to retrieve it as of yet. They are literally just looking for chows, and I think now starting to push the issue on forward, starting to just kind of try to hunt these players. Rispy around through the back. They are hit fire, doing them justice there. A couple of kills start to go their way, and then all of a sudden, 2v2 turns into a 1v2. Conwa, rather Chaco, last one left alive, but without that bomb being collected, this is just a weird round. Luxury Exotics would have had this if they had the bomb.
Chaco just has to play hide and seek for Wisers here, unfortunately. It's a play that was a little bit too ballsy. The Cojones just not going to be able to stack up, and Speedy White men will be able to get another round on the board. A little bit puzzling there for Luxury Exotics, but now you put the Speedy White men on the offensive side, and I mean, at least based on precedence, should be able to win this one. But Matt, I mean, I understand. It's one of those puzzling decisions maybe where you're playing with your prey a little.
Yeah, Quinn's looking at me right now, having a very confused look on my face, and I'm just, that's a round that Luxury Exotic wins if they have the bomb.
It's a strat.
Okay, well, it's a strat, I will say that.
It's not a strat.
It's a strat that exists within the game, but the Speedy White men will collect the bomb in hand, and they will start their offensive campaign here, but a little bit slower as of we know. Gonna just try to wait out, try to get one of these bloods back in your favor.
I mean, for the Speedy White men, obviously haven't taken an offensive round, but they have the opportunity to do the funniest thing we have seen to this point. I mean, Luxury Exotics just playing with their prey. If the Speedy White men can take their first offensive round here, they get thrown onto the defensive side, which, as we've said, very favorable. Could very well push to a round 11, and that's the first kill. Conwa able to pick things up. Speedy White men with the opportunity off the back of Conwa.
Conwa now able to find two, and now starts to force the issue here a little bit. Marco now a little bit stuck in his backside. Rispy goes down as well, and now all of a sudden, Marco last alive, or rather Wisers, here in the 1v4, and now the no v4. Speedy White men hadn't won an offensive round all game long, and then they win one in 20 seconds.
And Conwa, I mean, putting the team on his back like he is Greg Jennings out here spawning in. This man with the ace to solidify the round for the Speedy White men. Hey, if you can't get it done, you just send Conwa out on the Jackal to do it for you. And again, we talked about it at the beginning of that round. This is the opportunity for the Speedy White men to do the funniest thing ever and prove, hey, we are on LAN Do not F with us.
Yeah, I mean, if Speedy Whiteman are able to bring this one back, it might be one of the biggest trolls on LAN that I have seen. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves yet. Yeah, at least we picked up the bomb this time. Luxury Exotic, early shots in there onto Chaco. He'll have to back on out of that bomb site, but you still have Conwa on top gear. Kind of just working around trying to play those headies. And for the moment, Luxury Exotic will get stopped in their tracks a little bit.
Again, if you are Luxury Exotics and this thing goes south, you're going to want that round back so very badly. It feels like the Speedy White Men might even have a little bit more moxie in their play, but that moxie gets cut away immediately. 2 kills will matriculate in the feed for Luxury Exotics. That's going to give them the full map control that they need over towards that B bomb site now to get things down. And for the Speedy White Men, I mean, you have to go fast and you have to hit the regain.
Yeah, but Weiser's here. Might be wise to this play. Just playing this little back angle. He'll be able to find a couple of tags on in. Finds the first one there on the Sparks. Working for the second one here. Big 1v1 for him. The pistol out. And the pistol doing the work. 1v2 towards the backside. And Luxury Exotic 6-4 up and take map number 2 for a 2-0 series lead over the Speedy White Men.
Medea would be proud with that pistol play. Wisers will close it. It's a flawless round for Luxury Exotics, which, I mean, again, they're glad that they took. And now we go 2-0 up for the Speedy White Men. I mean, your hopes and dreams at this LAN in Columbus, Ohio, the BO6 kickoff. It comes down to this, and we go to a red card hardpoint. Matt, talk to me.
Well, first of all, I would not want to have to put my tournament hopes on a red card hardpoint. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. The second thing is, look, Luxury Exotic is playing with all of the moxie, all of the gun skill. I mean, this team looks like they are here to compete. And I mean, we talk about it with Wisers, Marco Stallion, Rispy, everyone able to really have that pop-off moment. I mean, this team is here to play, and they're showing you that in here through 2 different game modes, 250, 231, 6-4. And I mean, really, even in that S&D, I mean, it didn't even look like Speedy Whiteman had a chance.
Yeah, no. And again, it's just, it's so early in the season to where it's really the team that just picks things up first that can really set themselves up for success. And in terms of the tactics, especially on an S&D, it feels like Luxury Exotics had those routes a little bit better. They were the first team to strike on the attacker side. You're seeing them in those back spawns, which Speedy White Men were really struggling to find their way into. Conwa at one point just decided, you know what, I'm him, and decided to go on a tear. But outside of that, I mean, Luxury Exotics, it was their map and their mode. Now we go into the red card hardpoint. I mean, it's a toss-up, but still, Luxury Exotics, in terms of the momentum at the very least, have it secured.
Yeah, and it just looks like the Speedy White Men haven't really shown up to the series yet, right? It looks like they haven't really quite shown up to the setups. And I mean, for the Speedy White Men, yeah, it's just time to hit a regain right here. It looks like the players are getting up to take a quick break. It looks like we will do the same. And when we come back, we will have to see if the Speedy White Men can start to get on the drive for the reverse sweep, or Luxury Exotic will be punching their ticket for one more round here in the losers bracket.
To reset, hope you've got your drinks and hope you've got your snacks ready to go, because now, Matt, we are at the fork in our road between the Speedy White Men and Luxury Exotics. Luxury Exotics coming out to a hot start, especially on the S&D, absolutely dog-walking the Speedy White Men in something that we just hadn't expected to this point. Now we go to a red card hardpoint, which could be the deciding factor for the Speedy White Men.
Yeah, it's like I said before, I would not want to have to put my tournament hopes on a red card hardpoint. That is just not what you wanted to see here. And we talked about this series heading into it. I mean, we thought that if Luxury Exotic was not able to get that kind of first hardpoint under their belt, that this would be a tough series for them. They're up 2-0 right now and feeling pretty good, I'd have to imagine. Yeah,
and again, it's just come down to the tactility, the way that they are approaching the hardpoint, the way that they approach the S&D on top of that as well. It's a team that's really starting to get to the game a little bit earlier maybe than the Speedy White Men. And again, it's an interesting time in the season, so we are going to see certain things like that where you don't necessarily need the gunny on paper. You can kind of play around your tactics. And now we go to red card hardpoint. If the Speedy White Men are going to emulate their name, I mean, this is a map where the hardpoints are very, very far spread out. They're going to have to be fast.
Yeah, they're going to have to get those Usain Bolt sprints going, right? We're going to have to be hitting some marathons over towards these hardpoints. And we get right into it. Speedy White Men fighting for their tournament hopes right now. Have got to win 3 straight maps in a row. Luxury Exotics have got 3 chances to put them away.
P1 coming online here now for the Speedy White Men, just trying to take it straight through main. That's exactly what Exotic will do as well. Trying to set up for success. Speedy White Men, they do have those good side spawns, and they're going to get those initial kills to solidify themselves, at least in the early stretch of P1.
Early stretch here. Luxury Exotic starting to work their way around. Already sending players like number 6 on the way around on the wrap. But shots from mid right now are just going to be the name of the game. And Speedy White Men, they are fine to just soak up this free hill time right now. Already 20 seconds in the back pocket for B2. You got Wisers and Worko working on for the pinch. You finally get them off the hill. But I mean, for the moment, Speedy White Men is the best start they've had heading into a hard point.
Yeah, but you're unfortunately going to get cut off of those good side spawns. And now for the Speedy White Men, they're going to have to play the rotational gunfights. For Luxury Exotics, I mean, they are looking real good over towards this P2 side, looking to get set up for success. Even though they got a fat donut on the board, those kills are going to continue to justify. The positioning will come through, and they will start to accrue some time.
You see everybody from Speedy Whiteman a little bit spread out on this map right now. You isolate that one kill towards the backside. You can start to work your way onto the hill, a little bit of a pincer maneuver. But look where number 6 spawns, right behind the ones that just killed him. So it's still going to be Luxury Exotic that has these spawns and now has the pincer of their own.
Wisers with the first kill on the board, looking to find a lot more from behind. Driz will add some additional insult to injury as the Speedy White Men continue to get cut off of the hill time. And Luxury Exotics looking to get a full 60 on the board will continue to find the kills to justify.
Marco finally gets sent down to the grave, but just not enough to take Luxury off of the hill for the moment. Sparks trying to work his way around through the back, but it's this Luxury Exotic hold of this P2 that has honestly been flawless.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking so very, very good until it's not. Speedy White Men will be able to come in, get some scrap time of their own, and they will have those good side spawns to start to play over towards that rotation as well. Luxury Exotics will be denied, at least for the time being, the opportunity to accrue that lead. And the fast kind of tick, they will be able to get things going.
And number 3 has a crazy kind of spawn back behind Luxury Exotic, so he's going to have a flank that I'm not sure if they're going to be ready to read here. Sparks has the perfect opportunity here to lay waste to everyone on Luxury Exotic. Wisers, though, cuts him down in his prime. Speedy Whiteman only get the 1-for-2 trade, now has to deal with the pressure incoming.
Oh, Conwa Rep, though, they're doing a whole lot for this team. Unfortunately, though, Rep will get cut down. It just comes down to Conwa. What can he do? Has to duck, has to dive, has to dodge, has the trophy system to work with as well. His reinforcements are starting to flood on in. The Speedy White Men still accruing that time. The Luxury Exotics, they're just continuing to send bodies in, continuing to get chopped apart.
And Kamwa, just the blender of Luxury Exotic right now, as he is just working everything. The spawns have now been flipped here for the side of Speedy White Men, so trying to work out towards that new side hill, as the Luxury Exotic will elect to fight on in. 2 big kills, along with a team kill spread around in there, but Sparks doing it all on his own, along with Reciprocity, cleaning up the feed, and now for Speedy White Men, you garner that little bit of scrap time, and you've got yourself a nice little 30-second lead.
Now the Speedy White Men starting to get out a little bit in terms of the pace as well. This is something that we haven't seen with them to this point. They really have gone back to that drawing board, it feels like, coming off of that break, putting the emphasis on those rotations and really getting in the back lines as well. It's huge from Sparks, who finds 2 to make this push from Luxury Exotics very one-dimensional.
This is a very big opportunity here for these guys to chain these 2 hills together and really establish a big lead here early on in this hard point. Luxury Exotic is playing the trade battles right now, but they cannot afford to do that because they cannot get into the hill. Reciprocity's cutting people down at every single turn, and Luxury Exotic will still have the back out spawns, and they will have to make the long truck to this hill.
Luxury Exotics still trying to make the hit on in with 20 seconds left on the board. They want that scrap so desperately. Kills swing either which way, but Sparks proves to be eternal, catching the flames, and Rep will give him the assist. Speedy White Men, full 60 on the board. Now for Luxury Exotics, things are starting to get a little bit out of hand early on.
Yeah, that's a huge hill for the side of the Speedy White Men, absolutely just putting themselves in the driver's seat of this map. 118 to 41, Luxury Exotic still with a big opportunity to hold some hill time down here, but they have got to start to show up in the kill feed because right now the Speedy White Men are taking them to town.
This is such a mixy hill as well, so for Luxury Exotics, who really haven't had a whole lot of map control to this point, you gotta kind of lose yourself, get with the music, and get those kills going. Sparks, the last player in for the time, unfortunately, is gonna have to back up and get out of dodge. Luxury Exotics will be able to get in for a little bit of time, and the nade comes through. Marco hits 2, makes him eat it.
2-for-2 trade with Marco's nade, able to relieve some pressure here. Speedy White Men still all around, but Driz now on the 5 spree will start to work his way now into some streaks potentially here. Recipe, though, gonna get cut down 3 in the feed for the Speedy White Men. They chop right into the stadium hill, and they just continue to put these players on notice. Luxury Exotic right here has fallen behind the ball through the first set of hard points, but now as we work our way on to P1 once again, potentially here Luxury Exotic able to get themselves back into the the game.
Yeah, again, it's just not a whole lot of map control to be found for Luxury Exotics. And it's going to continue to get so much worse. The kills are starting to finally swing the way of the Speedy White Men, as we know them for their gunny prowess. Conwa as well pushed up on, trying to get some time up on the board. The trophy system does get nullified. Luxury Exotics still trying to press their issue.
And this is a big contention here for the side of Luxury Exotics just to stop some of this pressure, but 3 dead in the feed, and all of a sudden, Speedy White Men have taken control, and Sparks is starting to fry.
Sparks just rocking Rispy there, and now for the Speedy White Men, they are on for the time once again, just continuing to get things to go their way, but until it doesn't, until it falls apart at the seams, as Rispy comes in big and cuts some time for Luxury Exotics, but still, you're behind a whole 100 points heading into P2.
Yeah, and you have number 2 in rep. He's playing that kind of back position here, just waiting for his reinforcements on the rotation on over. He's going to wait for them to kind of play the distraction and then potentially look to pounce. Luxury Exotic, this is the make or break for them. They need this hill to go for them.
Rispy going absolutely huge in the feed, opening things up for Luxury Exotics, but you still do have the player in the backlines, and Rep is going to secure those backline spots as well. They don't anticipate it whatsoever. Peekaboo, I see you. Rep with the first kill. Conwa will assist from above. Now for Luxury Exotics, they have to find their footing, and Conwa, Obi-Wan cuts down Anakin. Speedy White Men in for some time.
And ICU looks like they're sending them to the ICU right now. The Speedy White Men putting Luxury Exotic Gaming in the dirt. 154 to 78. A couple of kills are going to come through for Luxury Exotic here. They will clean house. Choco, the last one up, the last one to fall. It'll still be those back spawns out back for Speedy White Men, as now it's almost a horizontal race to the next hill.
And again, you got to put on your Speedy shoes. You got to go Sonic mode if you want to get to this next hill first and establish yourself, especially with this being such a difficult hill to break on into. Luxury Exotics, it looks like they will be the first to make it on in, but a couple of kills swinging the way at least early for the Speedy White Men. You do have Conwa on the long wrap as well. You look at these spawns, you look at where the Speedy White Men are, they are flying in for the time.
And this looks like the Speedy White Men that we know, right? This looks like the guys that we've come to know and got familiar with, but you got to know that Luxury Exotics right now, they're only down 1 hill, right? There is still a lot of potential for them to make this comeback, and this could be the hill for it right here. You get 2 big influential kills towards the backside.
Oh, the Speedy White Men immediately able to respond. Now it comes down to Wisers, it comes down to Marco. They do get those respawns in, so hold on, wait a minute. You got to get the kills to justify, but Conwa just sending in straight missiles continues to find the kills for the Speedy White Men, and now they're in.
Multi-kill once again for Conwa, as the Speedy White Men have now taken control and now start to garner some of that scrap time that can put them over a hill lead. Marco and Recipe still trying to do work here around Charles, trying to get some scrap time. The Luxury Exotics, they have now fallen behind the ball, and now they are falling by the wayside.
5 seconds on the board. Luxury Exotics still trying to press on into the hill, trying to push the Speedy White Men back as far as they can possibly go. But take a look at your mini-map. You have Choco in the back lines over towards that side. Marco has to catch him out, has to make sure that he can't get into the hill. Will do exactly that. Now for Luxury Exotics, they have that set up, and for the Speedy White Men, it's going to have to be a linear and one-dimensional push into this hill.
Conwa tries to contest for now, but Luxury Exotic will cut him down at the wayside. Now 129 and climbing. This is the potential for Luxury Exotic to really find themselves back into this game. Driz able to find a big 2-piece out towards the outside. Driz finds 3. All of a sudden, everyone from the Speedy White Men hitting the deck. Rebrosity, the only one left alive for his team. He'll have to wait for the reinforcements to come through. His streaks are starting to fall as well. 20 seconds of scrap time left here for Luxury Exotic still to garner.
Speedy White Men trying to fight straight on in, but now Rispy is starting to add some dimension to the Luxury Exotics hold. Gets a little bit too overzealous and gets pushed back. Now the Speedy White Men have the opportunity to turn tail, make the rotation over towards this new hill, set things up for success, but Luxury Exotics, they're not going away without a fight, and they're breathing down their necks.
No, absolutely. This 2-0 lead. Luxury Exotic wants to close the door on the series right here, right now, but it's the Speedy White Men that have control of the hill, as you said. We look towards the backside pressure. Luxury Exotic starting to make their way in, trying to hit through the side doors. Shots coming out, and Recipe finds the first one there. 21 and 18 to his name, but you still have to find your way in to the stadium right now.
Speedy White Men still on for the time. Now Luxury Exotics trying to ignite their way on in, but unfortunately for them, it's all green in the feed. 1 kill swings the way of Luxury Exotics, but that's not going to be enough, and now the regain has to come in. Speedy White Men crossing that 200-point barrier.
Trying to make your way in. Driz trying to play the heady, but just nothing going for him right now. You are just running right into the funnel. That is the Speedy White Men. The blender starting to ensue. 2-for-2 trade does go the way of the Luxury for the moment, but it's Speedy White Men. They're able to take control there. Still with 14 seconds left of scrap time, but the problem right now is Speedy White Men are just ever so closely getting towards that 250 mark.
White Hill time eventually gets collected by Luxury Exotics, so they will get a little bit of scrap, but now they have to turn tail. They have to make their way into P1 for Speedy White Men. I mean, they are all over this map. You do not know at all where they are coming from, and that could be the thing that really gets the jump on Luxury Exotics.
Recipe trying to find the kill towards the mid area, but not going to be able to take out Choco. 2-for-2 trade now ensuing combo, not going to be able to find the shots with the sub. And now Weisers makes his way now onto the hill for Luxury Exotic, and still they have hung around. They have kept this match close enough where they are still dangerous enough to make this comeback happen.
Calm, cool, and collected, but you have to make sure you're not overextending. You have to make sure that you're not biting off more than you can chew, and that's exactly what happens. Speedy White Men will punish. Now for Luxury Exotics, it's about breaking on into this hill. You only need 25 seconds left if you're the Speedy White Men. Luxury Exotics has to go. They have to go now.
Marco, slide chow on and dealt with one. Still 20 seconds left here to work with on this hill. Luxury Exotic, though, as soon as they get in, are taken right back on out. Raposities starts to make his way into the mid area to try to hit these rotations on, but that's the problem right now for the Speedy White Men. Luxury Exotic, you look at where they are. They have all rotated now on towards this new hill, locked in, trophy systems ready to go, and they're finding the individual gunfights off the rotation to be able to make do on it.
Speedy White Men just need 14 more points on the board, and they can very well take it here. Could just very well come to cutting them down off of this hill. 3 kills will swing their way. 1 player in for the time for Luxury Exotics. They will still have those spawns, but they've got to go. Marco, the lone player on in, gets chopped down. Luxury Exotics have to play this picture perfect, but they're falling apart at the seams.
Yeah, but they're able to win the trade battles, and those close spawns will do diligence for the side of Luxury Exotics. So you're still here, you're still kicking in this hill. You've got to deal with the Speedy White Men pressure. There's still 34 seconds left to work with, and a lot of time as kills start to matriculate for the Speedy White Men.
Luxury Exotics overextending and getting way too overzealous. The Speedy White Men are going to be in for the time still. Luxury Exotics will have the spawns. They will be able to contend their way back on into the hill, but they've got to get these kills. Rep in the backlines. Choco continues to punish. You've got to go big. Luxury Exotics, they will be able to shut down Rep. Shuts down Sparks as well. Driz goes historic to keep them alive, but only 9 points needed. And you see Speedy White Men, they've already hit the left foot, right foot express.
Yeah, but you can look at Luxury Exotic. They're starting to work their way around over towards that new hill, and they have a little bit of a numbers advantage towards it as well. The 3v2 now starting to ensue over towards that new hill as it pops. Luxury Exotics now with the spawns on it, so it's well. They have to break in, though. They have to find the pressure needed.
Luxury Exotics not going to be able to get the kills, at least initially, to jump by. And Conwa looking to put the dagger on in. Last player standing, Marco does enough to get on in, but not going to be able to collect the time. It goes Mixie as an absolute mosh pit in, but Sparks will be able to close in the last seconds. Keeps the Speedy White Men alive.
Keeps them alive here at the Game Arena in Columbus, Ohio. Ever so slightly, it looked like Luxury Exotic were crawling their way back into it. But right at the end, the Speedy White Men do the diligence on their rotations and do just enough to put that map behind them. And now we head right into another hard point between both of these two teams that have been absolute barn burners every single time.
Yeah, heading on into Vorkuta hardpoint. We saw them on Vorkuta S&D, and unfortunately, last time we saw Vorkuta, it was going the way of Luxury Exotic. So now for the Speedy White Men, they have to hit the regain. They did get that red card hardpoint. We talked about it kind of briefly. We were like saying, okay, the worst possible scenario is to have your tournament hopes alive and go into a red card hardpoint. No, they make the best out of that opportunity. And now they're starting to swing back ever so slightly.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at these two hard points between both these teams, though. I mean, both almost going the full distance, 250 to 231 in favor of Luxury, and then 250 to 225 in favor of the Speedy White Men. Heading into Vorkuta hardpoint, and this is what we've talked about with our pace of these series, with those both hard points back-to-back in 3 and 4 in maps, respectively. It just allows for you to almost like two hills in a hard point, kind of chain them together, kind of parlay those two maps. But when you've had two hard points that are as tightly contested between these two teams, how does that play for both of them?
I mean, at the end of the day, you really don't have a whole lot that you can say other than these two teams are unbelievably close. And hey, it just comes down to one hill in both of these games. So when you're really looking at it, I mean, it's hard to say. I think with Vorkuta specifically, it is a little bit more of a wide open map. It is a little bit more rotational dependent because those hills are so much further away. Luxury Exotics were kind of able to snowball effect their way to a victory on the Protocol hardpoint. But then Speedy White Men on a map like Red Card, which is a lot wider, were able to get those rotations prioritized. At the end of the day, I mean, Speedy White Men, they have a blueprint with that last map from what we have seen to take a Vorkuta hardpoint.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, they have the skill, the gunny, the mind. They have the skill to win this entire tournament, but it's can they play at their best, and can they play at that best consistently, especially as you've mentioned time and time again, only being 2 weeks into this game. It's Luxury Exotic seems to have a very good handle on how this game is getting played early. Speedy Whiteman as well, though. They have made a run all the way into the winner's semifinals. Obviously, you run into a player that was once on FaZe Clan, so it's a little bit tough for you and a tough draw there. But coming into Luxury Exotic, I mean, none of these teams here on this Championship Sunday are a team that you want to have to be running into. You take a look at it as well. Cabal Gaming, 3-0 win over Hollow, and now a 3-2 win over Rally Esports to put themselves into the losers semis. An interesting matchup between them and whoever can win this series as well awaits us on the docket.
Yeah, Cabal Gaming, I mean, this is a team that you have heard a lot of buzzing about throughout the venue all weekend as a team that could potentially play spoiler to a lot of the bigger teams that we've been talking about, like Luxury Exotic, like the Speedy White Men, and even like Team Acrylic, who, again, has been on such a hot streak. When you have the 2.5-time world champ, though, that's kind of expected. So it really has been a bunch of Davids versus the true Goliaths when you take a look at the overall bracket here. Both of these teams fighting for an opportunity to continue the losers bracket run, go up against Cabal Gaming.
Cabal Gaming, I mean, it's one of those teams, you talked about it potentially upsetting some big teams, but I mean, Cabal Gaming has got a great roster in of themselves. And I mean, you didn't want to necessarily call them a dark horse, but I think it's just because the level of talent that has come out to this LAN. I mean, if you're the 8th best team at a 48-team LAN, you're one of the top teams, but you still could be considered a dark horse on the Championship Sunday when we have whittled it down to just this many teams, already seeing 2 teams being eliminated today, about to see another one potentially eliminated right here, right now. But heading into this, we are dwindling it down. After this match, 4 teams out of 48 remain.
I mean, so much great action here. Want to take a chance to thank every single sponsor that has made this possible, as well as our fantastic people running the game arena and running it out here in Columbus, Ohio. I mean, this has been a fantastic weekend, a great way to kick off the BO6 season, a season that is surely going to be one for the record books, especially within the Pro-Am scene. Again, all these teams coming out here fighting for a chance to be crowned champions when all is said and done. One of these teams going home, potentially even after this map.
Yeah, Speedy White Men have to get it done here on this map to force that map number 5. It was a great start to the series for Luxury Exotic, but I think we always knew that until it was 3 map wins on the favor of the boys in gold, this series was never over. And the Speedy White Men looking to make do on that right now as we get it kicked off. Map number 4, Speedy White Men, your tournament hopes on the line here in snowy Vorkuta.
Not going to go away without a fight. Luxury Exotics, they're going to have to bring it, but the first strikes are going to come through for the Speedy White Men to open things up. Will be immediately responded to by Rispy, though, with 2 kills of his own to swing things right back. Rep will respond, though, and it's just a Mitzi mosh pit for P1 control.
Yeah, it is kind of what we've come to expect here of both these teams, especially in Hardpoint. Everybody kind of rotating early towards these new hills. As you kind of mentioned before, a little bit more rotational heavy on Vorkuta. Plays a little bit more typical, not selling your soul for that P1. Everybody kind of starting to work their way for that P2. A couple of seconds here and there for both these teams.
Yeah, Speedy White Men, I mean, they will gladly chalk up P1. They just want to get the momentum solidified. They had those good side spawns. Do not want to waste them by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to be a rough 20 points going the way of Luxury Exotics before they have to hightail and make the left foot, right foot express over towards the P2 side, where the Speedy White Men have the setup, and you're also seeing the pincer develop towards the top side of the map that you have to deal with.
Weiser's around from the back as 2 of his teammates do hit the deck. He will be able to find at least 1. It does look like Luxury Exotic starting to have some pressure over towards the backside, but it's Chaco here laying in wait. Will be able to take out 1. You see all of this pressure, all of these yellow arrows starting to make their way into the hill.
Head-on collision going 240 miles straight on into P2. First strike will come through from Rispy, but the rest looking to go green in the feed for the Speedy White Men, who are maintaining that hold on the hill. That being said, Luxury Exotics, they get a quick spawn right back in. They hit the quick regain. They get a couple of key kills swing their way. Congestion still the name of the game.
22 seconds left still to work with here for Luxury Exotic. You got 2 players kind of working around on this hill, but Sparks, can he do the damage here in from the mid area? Able to find 1 as well as Chaco finding another. Pressure starting to amount, and now Speedy White Men cleaning house here on this hill and have now taken control. You talk about the rotation game already starting to being fought for over towards new.
Conwa's going to have to go big to set things up. But where are you going, Marco? You're lost. Box like a fish, gets the kill to go and sets things up once again for the Speedy White Men. But now you have to turn your attention over towards the top side of the map, which is exactly where Luxury Gaming are going to make their bread and butter to open things up with P3.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell us this is a map for series on the line, tournament hopes on the line. Both of these teams, back and forth we go. Seemingly no one able to edge it out quite just yet. Speedy White Men, 2 for 2 trades all around the map. They have the back spawn secured as for the moment, but from the mid area comes Marco, who's able to find one. Immediately gets traded back out, and it is trade after trade after trade after trade right now.
Oprah Winfrey was playing right now. She would be handing them out. I mean, Speedy White Men are not going to be able to get the time on the board. Instead, it will eventually be Luxury Exotics who are able to come out of the trade battle alive for some extra time on the board. Still some White Hill time as they try and push the Speedy White Men back to even further solidify that. It's just going to come down to Driz, the lone player over towards the top side of the map. It is, again, just as mixy as it gets, Matt.
Reps able to find 2 kills over towards that new side, and it does look like that is where the Speedy White Men have looked to make their mainstay, as we are at just about dead even heading into P4. A couple of kills will come through for Luxury Exotic as they make their way onto the hill. Pistols out, guns out. Rispy able to find the first one, but will get immediately traded back as the Speedy White Men look to do good on these back spawns.
Both teams exchanging blows, trying to maintain a stronghold. P4 could very well be that first opportunity to do so. Sparks lines too, but it's not going to be able to give his team much in terms of hill control unless Rep has something to say about it, which he does. Finally getting on for some hill time, but only 34 seconds left to fight for, as both of these teams knotted up at 50 each.
And it seems like every single hardpoint that we have played in, at least in this map, starts off the first 30 seconds is just a fight for the hill, right? No one really able to solidify themselves clearly into the hill. And you see about 30, 20 seconds, finally the Speedy White Men able to come out on top of the trade battles, able to put the spawns and the reinforcements to good use. But it's Luxury Exotic that will fly right back into the hill, garner that scrap time, work their way over towards New, and keep this game almost knotted here. 68-53, Speedy White Men a slight lead.
In the first map, we came to know Luxury Exotics for their rotations, and this is what we have come to expect out of them. Very good way to get into this P5. He'll get those kills to justify as well. Rispy on the heady is making work, making his dollars. Now Speedy White Men, they're starting to find their footing once again. Can Conwa do it? No, he can't. Will get cut down, but it's Sparks to get the refrag to go as the Speedy White Men spawning in on time to make the recontest.
Yeah, I mean, they are just spawning in and running right into these chows for both of these teams, right? Only 7 seconds separating. No one really able to dip their toe into the hill with only 37 seconds left. What can you do right now if you're either of these teams? This is such a mixy game.
This is, again, it comes down to these two teams not wanting to go home, and they are fighting tooth and nail every step of the way. You can feel it. Both of these teams wanting to move on. Back and forth kills once again. We trade things out over and over. It seems like the same story in a different font every single time. With 10 seconds left, Luxury Exotics have the opportunity to get some scrap.
And will be a 1 second differential now heading into this P5 as Luxury Exotics on the rotations working their way over. But it'll be the Speedy White Men that have spun their way right into the new hill first. But look at Marco. He is just sneaking around the back lines right now looking to do damage.
Rep has to be very careful. Had the inkling that there was going to be a player from that backside, but unfortunately he's not able to respond in kind. Marco will get the value out of his play, and Driz will help him do the rest. That is a nice, clean team wipe in the feed for Luxury Exotics to set themselves up for some success over towards P1.
A couple of kills go their way. Again, slight lead for Luxury Exotic as they continue to try to find these kills, but just haven't really been able to get into the hill yet. Speedy White Men are now removed themselves. They do have those close P2 spawns, and you do see Luxury Exotic being on the read and looking to force the issue onto it. You have somebody kind of laying in wait, garnering that scrap time. You're starting to get a couple of these influential rotational gunfights.
And Luxury Exotics, I mean, they are once again prioritizing those rotations so very well, and it's going to set themselves up for success after a nice P1 to collect a decent lead, especially on a map like this, over towards that P2 side. Now the question becomes, can they hold for the kills?
Rispy locked in. Trophy systems down. 20-second lead right now. And for 2 sets of rotations almost so far, for only 110 to 81 to be our scoreline, can tell you how mixy that this map has been so far. But finally, Speedy White Men looking to force the action here.
A little bit of a split approach, and they're just going to get their heads split wide on open. It's a Driz masterclass in the kill feed, but truly it is Rispy who is making the work happen. Now bobbing and weaving will get a little bit of an assist as well. Takes Sparks out of the equation. Still the Speedy White Men, though, very easily able to fight their way on into the hill until they get lined up and shut on down. Once again, it's Groundhog Day.
It has been the most solidified hold that we have seen from either of these teams so far. Luxury Exotics making good here on the P2. Sparks still trying to give some sparks himself, but will be sent down to the grave. Now, looking up at the scoreboard, all of a sudden, Luxury Exotic looking like they're running away with this one, pushing themselves over the 150 mark, have left the Speedy White Men in the dust.
Now, Speedy White Men, I mean, they have to take a page out of the Luxury Exotics book. They have to make the rotation on over, and a couple of key kills will swing their way. So they will solidify some time on the board, but now the question becomes on a map like this, how much time can you truly accrue, especially with Luxury Exotics starting to make their push on in?
48 seconds left. You got a lot of time here, but it's a lot of time to have to hold this Luxury Exotic crew back in with the streak. Hellfire raining down from above. Not going to be able to get onto this hill whatsoever, and Luxury Exotic more than willing to play the white hill time. Just let that timer tick away, use the streak to their advantage, and hold on to this 60-second lead.
Sparks a one-man band, and there's just not a whole lot you can do when there are explosions left, right, and center just sending you to your grave. Luxury Exotics, they will able to get the clean break on in, gets the kills to solidify as well, and now we are starting to see a definitive separation. Speedy White Men not looking fast enough.
You have to go if you're the Speedy White Men. All of your tournament hopes lie on the next couple of hills. Luxury Exotic laying them out and laying them down. Conway now from around the backside of this new hill, trying to work on as Luxury Exotics has made their way on over, but Speedy White Men, they have now been put shortly on the back foot now.
And Luxury Exotics once again back into the mix of things with the rotation as well over towards that P4 side. They're gonna have those good spawns now for Sparks. You gotta ignite your way on in, but you're not gonna have enough support.
No.
Nearly gets beat down. Instead, it's the shot straight to the cranium that follows with two more. Luxury Exotics putting them in their place.
Luxury Exotics is rolling them up and smoking them down right now. The Speedy White Men, you have to find something here. 29 seconds left still to work with on this hill, and Luxury Exotic, they just refuse to relinquish pressure here. Trade after trade going the way of the boys in gold, and you just cannot find a way in if you are a Speedy White Man right now.
This could very well be the final moments for the Speedy White Men here at this tournament. Luxury Exotics, they are starting to run away with it, breaking into the 200-point barrier before the Speedy White Men can even put 100 on the board. They look chalked. Everything seemingly going up yellow in the feed. Now the Speedy White Men, they have to make their last stalk on this hill.
And at one point, this was 81 to 81 right now. You look up 200 to 100 right now. Luxury Exotics has gone on an absolute tear, but can they continue as they start to work their pressure now over towards this backside? Marco and start to work Corey. Brett, the nice burn, but not going to be able to take out Marco. He's now have the pressure now starting to work from both sides here for this pressure. All four players starting to hit as Speedy White Men just lay them out. It's the kills needed and necessary for them to get the hold here on this hill. Speedy White Men still kicking and showing a little bit of life.
Not willing to go away without a fight. We've said it time and time again. This team is here and they are ready to play regardless of the scenarios being presented. But now Luxury Exotic with an opening kill over towards his P5 side. They also are not willing to go away without a fight. Kills continue to go green in the feed. Checkerboards things out in the feed. And Luxury Exotics, they're going to have to turn tail over towards P1. It's not worth fighting.
And any white hill time as well right now for Luxury Exotics is a great blessing, right? Speedy White Men, you look up, you've only got a minute left on the actual game clock right now of this hard point, potentially going to time.
Now for the Speedy White Men, they have to make good on this hill. Again, you have very little room to work with here. You cannot let Luxury Exotics get in for any amount of significant time. They're starting to claw their way right back. A couple of key kills will enter the feed once again. It's four dead in the feed. The Speedy White Men starting to turn the narrative ever so slightly.
Hold on, wait a minute. Something ain't right now. Luxury Exotics is all of a sudden looking up at the scoreboard and seeing the Speedy White Men running up on their tail right now with the speed. 31 seconds left here to work with on this hill, and you just continue to find kills all around right now. 3-for-1 trade will go the way of the Speedy White Men, and you can continue to just hold this down right now. You have the P2 spawns in your favor as well. This is the perfect setup right now for the Speedy White Men.
And a complete reversal of the narrative here for Luxury Exotics. Again, they broke into 200 before the Speedy White Men could even get 100 on the board, and now Speedy White Men are about to break into the 200-point barrier. This is a breakdown in the making for Luxury Exotics. They have to prioritize the rotation. That's exactly what Rispy is trying to do. Finds a key kill in the backlines, but you're going to have to deal with Chaco. The one-man band has to stand tall.
Yeah, and everyone from the Speedy White Men trying to throw their bodies here for these reinforcements, but now with the flip of the spawns, they are not in the good position that they once were, and now Luxury Exotic can nestle themselves into this hill and start to work away, start to chip away. The big kills coming out from the util, and Luxury Exotics now on the forefront.
Luxury Exotics, they got Tom Brady on their team, and they are looking to score some touchdown, get those rings up on the board, continuing to matriculate their kills the way of the Luxury Exotic players. Rispy just is a absolute academic weapon on this map.
Can you shut him down? Can the Speedy Whitemen find their way into the hill? It's 4 players they're going to have to deal with here around the backside. Kamwa trying to work his way in, but you haven't read that Driz is just playing right outside of your back lines. So for the moment, a little bit of a slowdown as they make their way in, but Contestant again, and now Luxury Exotics trying to force the issue, but just can't find the break on in, and now everything looking towards the rotation. 7 versus 3, a huge 1v1 over towards this new side.
Not a whole lot prioritization in terms of the rotation as well, but it will be a key kill to swing their way. Now Marco has the opportunity to put that trophy system down. Now, you gotta look at the time as well. Just 27 seconds between these two teams to play. And now, Luxury Exotics on.
2:34 and counting. They only need 15 seconds left here to get the wind and send the Speedy White Men home. They have to force their way on in. Risky lights it up again, and all of a sudden, Luxury Exotic could be in.
Oh no, Speedy White Men, you've got to go. You've got to put on those shoes and go fast, but it's not going to be enough, as Luxury Exotics will send the Speedy White Men home and have a date with Cabal Esports in the next round of the losers bracket.
Potentially the biggest upset, at least here on this championship Sunday. Rispy goes absolutely nuclear. 40 and 27, almost dropping 40 bombs in multiple hard points. This guy was absolutely everything for the Luxury Exotic squad.
Oh my goodness, but the thing about it as well is you have players like Marco putting up 30 and everybody going above 500. I mean, this team looking unbelievable in terms of that losers bracket. They have that chip on their shoulder. It's been well documented to this point. They're just not going to relinquish it. It's that dog mentality that comes out on top. And the Speedy White Men, not the Sunday that they were looking for.
Not at all. I mean, you had that tough loss against Acrylic early on in the morning. You come down to play Luxury Exotic Gaming. You're looking to get back on your high horse, look to battling back in the losers bracket. And Luxury Exotics comes right out of the gate, smacks you in the face, up 2-0 early on in this series. The Speedy White Men showed fight, right? They showed some resilience. We thought that they were going to potentially be able to send this to a map 5. But Luxury Exotics blazing and trailblazing, looking to get on to the next round.
I mean, just absolutely smoking everybody within that losers bracket and have the opportunity once again to do it in that next round against Cabal. And I mean, this team looks very, very, very good. Just when they are clicking on all cylinders, I mean, I don't know how you can stop a team like this.
No, and you know, I was lucky enough to get to cast them yesterday when they were starting that losers bracket run. And I mean, they have been on this run since about 5 p.m. yesterday at the LAN. And I mean, they just continue to do it. They just continue to find a way to win against some really, really good teams. And I mean, you kind of take a look at it throughout this right now. I mean, it's been an incredible series so far. You go all the way back to yesterday. Luxury Exotic Gaming against Big Backs finds the 3-1 lead, finds the 3-2 lead over Galaxy Gaming, sends Unity Visual home, and just continues on this losers bracket here today, taking out Old Family, taking out Speedy Whiteman, and they've only gotten better.
Yeah, again, this team just has no stop about them. And it sometimes, for some of these teams, is going to take getting punched in the face once or twice before you really channel your inner dog and just start going absolutely berserk. I think that's really what we have seen for Luxury Exotics. I mean, this is looking to be one of those runs that you talk about months later down the line of saying, hey, you know, Luxury Exotics, if they can continue this, we're going to be talking about this way past this point.
No, I mean, you secure a top 4 placing already here in the losers bracket. A big matchup between them and Cabal Gaming. And then you look up in the winners bracket, and that's where the real master starts to come through. Arcities trying to come through and win this tournament, which I think a lot of people have this team favored as the favorites. But Thrive, the young guns with Dello and the U18ers, they have been absolutely frying on all cylinders, particularly in the respawn game mode. That is going to be a marquee matchup to see who wants to send down to the losers bracket. But Quinn, what a matchup we just witnessed there. The Speedy Whitemen unfortunately getting sent home. But now we turn our attention to that winners finals matchup to see who will be our first grand finalist.
My goodness. I mean, it could very well go either which way. It's a story as old as time as the old dogs versus the new dogs. I mean, you have a team like Team Acrylic who is picking up a player like Arcities to really anchor a team and lead them through. And then as you outlined before, you have Dello, the U18ers, coming in and trying to say, hey, you know, this is the season of Omni Movement. This is the season where it's all about the gunny. And they have really gone on an absolute tear. A team that I don't think a whole lot of people expected to make it as far as they quite honestly have.
Yeah.
And they have the opportunity once again to do something that we just don't see a whole lot of.
It's got to be the weed buff. That's all I can imagine, bro. It's got to be the weed buff. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to send it to a quick break, so make sure you go grab some snacks, stay hydrated, and drink some water. And when we come back, it should be winners finals action here between Team Acrylic and Thrive.